Today, I was facing the person that I've wanted to face the most out of everybody in this tournament, Alexandra Botez. Now, me and Alexandra have known each other for a long time and we've played against each other a lot of times online, but we've never played each other in a classical tournament game, and I was so excited to play her today. I had the white pieces, and I thought that I had been very smart with my preparation. Now, soon this would turn out to maybe not be so true. But I sat down by the board feeling very happy and excited about the game. Me and Alex, well, we took some pictures, then we smiled, shook hands, and then the game started. There was a part of me that wanted to play something random like 1b3 or 1g3 just to get a normal game against her, but I decided to go with my usual stuff, which is to play d4. She was looking very confident and as if she knew exactly what to do, and she started blitzing out her opening moves very quickly. So after I went d4, she very quickly went knight f6, and well, I thought, okay, we gotta match her level of confidence. So after d4, knight f6, I just played c4, and then after that, she played g6. I played knight c3, she played d6, e4, bishop g7, and this was a standard King's Indian. Now I took a split second to think, okay, should I do something else? But no, I played h3, the line that I always play. The idea of going h3 is that you're stopping the bishop from going to g4. She instantly played e5, and this was nothing uncommon. I played d5, pushed my pawn, and she now pushed her a pawn. Now still, there was nothing uncommon here, and I started thinking a little bit just to figure out exactly what I was going to do. I thought it was a bit strange that she hadn't castled yet, so I was kind of figuring out if she was doing something weird, but I just thought, nah, this is normal. So I ended up, after a couple minutes, just simply playing bishop e3. Now, she played knight a6, still not castling, and I was starting to get a little bit annoyed at this because I wanted to play g4 to then go knight e2 and knight g3. But if I go g4 now, she's going to play h5 as she hasn't castled yet, so I didn't really like that so much. Alex was playing super fast, and it took a little bit of time here to figure out what I wanted to do. Did I want to go knight f3? Did I want to go knight e2? Did I want to play bishop d3? I decided ultimately, after a lot of time thinking, to play the move knight e2. And the idea of this was that I wanted to play g4, thinking that this was something that I could do. At this point, there were a lot of people that were saying, what is it that people actually think about when they're playing chess? Like, why are these players thinking for so long? But I was just thinking about all kinds of things that Alex would do against all my moves. Now, the annoying thing about playing against Alex was that no matter what move I did, she would play the move instantly. And so after knight e2, she instantly played knight d7, and I wanted to match her because, well, to be honest, I feel like you just look cool when you play moves really quickly. So I really just wanted to match her, and I ended up playing pretty quickly my idea g4. Now, g4 isn't really a terrible move in any way, but I thought that I was kind of surprising her with all of these moves, but Alex was not surprised whatsoever. She was still in preparation. She instantly played bishop f6, and the moment she played this move, I was just shocked. I have never seen this idea in the King's Indian, and I've played against this opening for years. So I was just kind of feeling, what is happening in this game? Like, what has Alex prepared? Has she prepared this? What is going on here? I really just didn't understand. And her idea with going bishop f6 is that she wants to trade her dark squared bishop for mine. Because if we trade, well, then what's going to happen is that the dark squares could become a little bit weak. So I spent some time thinking here. I did not like the idea that I felt like Alex knew exactly what to do all the time, but I didn't want to be too unbothered by it. So after thinking for some time, I ended up playing queen d2. The idea of this was to prevent Alex from playing bishop g5, but then Alex just very unbotheredly played h6, and I realized, wait a second, I cannot capture the pawn on h6 because then she's going to trap my bishop with g5. So I was really not so sure exactly what was going on. But I thought, okay, I need to play queen d2. And then after Alex played h6, I was just thinking for a long time. This was when I really started thinking. I was drinking my energy drink, I was thinking, and I kind of entered this Anna Cramling thinking mode because I just needed to figure out what to do. So I was calculating, okay, what happens if I castle here? What happens if I play bishop g2? There were a lot of different things that I was thinking, and this is in no way a bad position. It was just that I was very unfamiliar with it. This was honestly a very clever way of Alex to play, and she literally just found an amazing opening to play. And yeah, she was very much just having a great time here, I am sure. With an hour 32 on the clock, she literally had more time than what she started with. At this point, people were saying that Anna, well, me, should take a walk for relaxation in the middle of the game. But people don't realize just how stressful this situation is. There is no time for me to go on a little walk to relax. I am in pure thinking, concentration, and focus mode here. So, after thinking for a very long time, I decided to ultimately play knight g3 because I had figured out that after knight g3 and bishop g5 and bishop e2, I had calculated this long line where basically I thought that I was going to end up changing queens but being slightly better. And this actually ended up being the position that I ended up getting, but things weren't really the way that I thought they were in my head. And this is when I started with that plan. It was right at this moment when I played knight g3. It didn't really matter what I moved though, because Alex would always just end up doing her move absolutely immediately after me. So after I went knight g3, she instantly played bishop g5. And here, I think that I should have castled. Doesn't really matter exactly what I did. I played bishop e2. It wasn't really a bad move, but I think castling would have been totally fine. But the thing is now that when she gets to trade the queens, she's going to be in a totally fine position. My pawn on e4 is slightly weak, and there's no way that I am better after that. So I was just trying to figure out what to do. I knew that I didn't want to capture twice the bishop on g5 because then she would end up with a really good pawn on g5, which would mean that her rook would be on this open h file the rest of the game and my pawn on h3 would be very weak. So yeah, I ended up playing bishop e2 with the idea that I wanted to protect my g4 pawn to play h4. After I played bishop e2, Alex, just like she always did, just instantly captured my bishop. And after I took back with the queen, she ended up playing queen g5, which was what I expected. She wants to trade queens. Now, it was after she played queen g5 that I went for this idea that I had had for a while, which was to play h4. Now, h4 was unfortunately a huge blunder. Because after I go h4, what I completely missed, and this didn't really occur to me at all because I had this idea of playing h4 for so long, was that after she trades queens, she has this move knight f6, and this was really stupid, but I just completely missed that I was losing a pawn here. It just completely was off my brain. I just didn't see it coming whatsoever, and this was just a terrible blunder that I did, and I think my mom was really sad at this point. My whole chat was very disappointed, people watching the live stream. I didn't, at this moment in time, realize that I was about to lose a pawn. Alex spent like a couple of minutes thinking here. And yeah, I just completely missed that she has knight f6 and I cannot defend my g4 pawn at all. The moment that she played knight f6 attacking my g4 pawn, I was in shock. I didn't even write down the move until a few seconds. She left and I quickly realized what a mistake I had made. At this moment in time, my mom was saying that she saw no way for me to save this position. And that is just so sad.
Yeah, she didn't use any time. This was just such a logical move. And so it has gone completely wrong for Anna in this opening. She's going to play with a pawn less. What would I try? I don't know what I would try. Whatever Anna does, it will just be very, very difficult for her to play.
But yeah, I started thinking here for a long time because I realized that now I would have to be creative to come up with something. And here I should probably just have played g5 pretty quickly because there's really nothing else that I can do. But I was just kind of in disbelief about the fact that I was about to lose a pawn. So I spent a lot of time thinking, which I think was unnecessary. I really should just have played g5. It's the only move that I have. But yeah, I have to do it to at least protect the pawn and at least open up a little bit on the king side to bring some activity to my pieces. So I ended up playing g5. Um, and she traded rooks and played knight h7, threatening my pawn. And in this position, I quite quickly just castled queenside because I realized that I needed to bring in my rook. Now, she obviously captured my pawn, and I spent a lot of time thinking here because I thought, okay, I need to come up with something. I had some different ideas. I had ideas of going rook g1, but then I realized that she just plays f6. I had ideas of going knight f2, knight g4. Had a lot of different ideas. I realized when I'm looking at this footage that my face just looks kind of despair, but that's exactly how I was feeling. And it was so horrible to play this, knowing that I'm in a losing position, knowing that Alex hasn't spent any time on this. It was just brutal, to be honest. Um, so I ended up playing rook g1, kind of hoping that she would move her knight. Or no, I started by playing knight f2, and then she played bishop d7, and that's when I ended up playing rook g1, hoping that she would move her knight instead of moving her f pawn. But unfortunately, she did play f6, which was the best move. And now I just didn't really know exactly how to enter because if I go rook h1, the problem is that she can play king e7 and keep her king in a very safe position. She's going to play f5 soon, and she's going to get a very nice passed off pawn, and it's a very difficult position to play. It's not just that I'm a pawn down, it's the fact that my e4 pawn is very weak as well, and my knights cannot really move around because then her knight is going to come up to c5 and attack my pawn. So what I had to do here was that I had to try to find some form of activity, I thought. That was everything that I could think about doing. So I was trying to find some way of getting my pieces activated. After rook g1 and f6, I decided to play bishop g4 because I thought that I wanted to get a knight up to g4 at least. At this point though, I mean, Alex had more than 1 hour on the clock than me. I think this might be a record. I don't think my opponents have had an hour more on the clock than me, like ever, and I have no idea what my mom was talking about here. I decided ultimately to play the move bishop g4. After that, she went knight c5, just bringing in her piece, and I decided to put my rook on h1 so that I would have some kind of activity with my rook at least, and I would be threatening rook h8 check, winning the rook. Alex was still playing super fast, and yeah. I mean, I wasn't surprised, but it was a little bit discouraging. But anyways, after rook h1, she ended up castling, and after she castled, I decided to trade my bishop so that I would not have to worry about her taking my bishop, the knight taking, and then my e4 pawn hanging. So I ended up taking her bishop and then placing my rook on h6 to attack the g6 pawn. And now the idea was to bring my rook into play and try to get some activity. After she played rook g8 and defended the pawn, I spent some time thinking and I couldn't really figure out how to keep the position the way it was. Because I just felt like she was gonna start pushing her f pawn, and I didn't really know how to prevent those pawns from pushing. So I decided to give up another pawn with the idea of getting a lot of more activity. I thought that my e4 pawn was gonna be stuck there anyways, so I thought that if I'm able to give up another pawn and get some activity, it might give me some more drawing chances. So objectively, I'm not sure if that was the best, but practically, I thought that this could give me some more chances. So after she took my pawns, I went rook h7 check. She moved her king, and now my idea was to play knight h6. And what I wanted with this was to later play rook g7 and threaten the g6 pawn. Now, after knight h6, the rook is hanging. I think that she might be able to play something like knight g5, but she didn't do any of that. She simply moved her rook. She was playing this just very safely. And it was here that I played, after rook f8, I played rook g7, threatening her g6 pawn. And it was here that she actually spent probably the most time she spent in the game thinking, because I could tell that she was analyzing what happened if the f pawn pushes. And this was something that I was pretty scared about as well, especially considering that I mean, I cannot believe that I had 1 minute and she had an hour 26. I mean, it's honestly, I don't know, someone make a meme out of this. I don't even know what to say now that I'm looking at the board with me having 1 minute on the clock. But I played rook g7, threatening the pawn, and she spent some time calculating, and I was trying to calculate on her time as well. I was really focused, trying to calculate what happens if f5, and then after a while, she actually ended up playing f5, pushing that pawn, and now what she wants to do is that she wants to promote that f pawn. But yeah, she ended up playing f5, which was a good move. And the idea with f5 is, like I said, she wants to promote that pawn, but what's going to end up happening is that she's going to be able to force a lot of trades. And when you're up material, you want to trade. She's up pawns, so she wants to trade her rooks, because the less pieces I have, the less pieces I can have to stop all her pawns from promoting. My idea initially here was that if she played g5, that I would have knight f5, but obviously this didn't happen. So she played f5, and I had to take that g6 pawn. If I didn't, I was going to lose. So I had to take that g6 pawn, and then after she played f4, I traded the pawns because the less pawns the better, and then after that, I played the move rook g8 to trade the rooks so that at least I wouldn't be losing out of her promoting the pawn. That would be my way of stopping the promotion. She spent some time thinking, but then she found this really nice idea, which is to play f3, push that pawn, and then basically sacrifice the f pawn to be able to pick up some of my pawns on the queen side. And to be honest, I hadn't had time to calculate all of this, and I quickly realized when I entered this knight endgame that this was a very tough endgame for me. I thought I was probably losing, but I thought that I just need to fight and I need to give it my very best, and I need to try to fight as hard as I can and maybe pull a draw if I'm very, very lucky. So here I was just in defense mode and I was just trying to pull out the craziest thing ever, which would be a draw. She played this very nicely by simply pushing the f pawn all the way down to a queen, and after the pawn was on f1 and I took it, she had this really nice idea of playing check with the knight, knight d2 check, and after my king has to move, she can pick up the c4 pawn, and now my b2 pawn is hanging, so I have to play b3, and the very nice idea here is that after she threatens my other pawn on d5, what ends up happening is that even though I have time to defend it, my king is one step away from being able to get there in time. And if now Alexandra Botez would play any other move but king d8, this would be a draw. However, she found the best move, which was king d8, because now after my king goes up, she has this move king e7, my knight has to move, and now my d5 pawn is going to be unprotected, and I'm going to be in an endgame 2 pawns down. So if I was just 1 pawn down, it would be a draw, but the problem is that she is 1 tempo away from winning this. So she ended up taking my pawn, and this position was very tough, but I had to keep fighting. So after she played knight b4, threatening my a2 pawn, and I moved it, she went for this check c5, and now I spent a lot of time thinking because I was calculating this idea of going knight takes c5 here, and I was calculating this endgame because if I was just able to basically win her 4 pawns somehow, or at least win 3 of them and then trade one of them, it would be a draw. But I realized after calculating for a long time that it doesn't work for me to capture on c5 twice, because she will forever be able to protect one of these pawns and then it's losing. So I had to go back with my king, and then, well, I was rerouting my knight. I just wanted to do something to try to win one pawn. But 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 Alexandra was playing this very nicely. I did not say Andrea, Alexandra. So, yeah, she checked me. I went king c3, b6, knight d2. She pushed her pawn. I went knight f3. I was just rerouting my knight. Knight g5. We were playing these moves relatively quickly, I think. I mean, Alex was playing all of these moves really quickly. She had an hour 38 at this point. She played b5. I took the pawn. She took back. I went check. The king moved. And, well, I went for another check. Then her king got to e6. I went knight a4. The king went back. I was just kind of moving back and forth with the knight. Knight a5. Knight a4, sorry. Knight e5. King c2. King c6. I moved back my knight, and now was the moment when she started pushing the pawns. She went d4. I moved up my knight. And then she ended up trading one of the pawns, and, well, the knight went back. She checked me, I've moved my king, and now she started running with the a pawn. And it was here, this was really nice. She was playing with two passed pawns, and after a few more moves, I mean, this position was just completely lost. And after knight d2 check, king c3, knight e4 check, and the king goes up. There's no way for me to prevent that a2 pawn from promoting unless I give up my knight, and then I would be lost. So in this position, I resigned, and Alexandra Botez beat me, and honestly, she beat me in a great game, and she had an hour 36 on the clock at the end, which I just find completely insane. But yeah, I got crushed by Alexandra. She outprepared me. She knew exactly what to do in the opening. I lost the pawn in the opening, and then that was it. And it was really sad because I really wish that I would have played something really random, like 1b3. I really wish like I would have played something where she would not have had this preparation, because in a way I felt like I was just playing against her like amazing opening, and then after her amazing opening I was a pawn down, and then I never really had a chance to fight back in the game. So I'm hoping that I can get some revenge against Alexandra. This is my official request, Alex, to play another game soon, because I want to get my revenge. But Alexandra's played really well, and she deserved to win this game. So there is that. Yeah, I think I'll insert some clip of me getting interviewed after the game. I wasn't very happy that it's a spoiler alert, but that's typically how it goes when you lose a classical chess game. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're enjoying these recaps. Let me know in the comments if you're liking these voiceover recaps, and I will see you all in my next round, which is when I'm playing Nemo. Wish me luck. Yeah, what are the other questions?
I think that's
I'm crying inside. No, I'm not crying. It's just annoying that my one game against Alexandra Botez is like this, because I wish it would just have been a game where we both started with an equal opening. Like now I just feel like I just lost in the opening, and then I don't really know what else I could have done. But I really want to play her again and just play 1b3 and have her not be able to do any weird preparation stuff and just play a normal game against her. Okay, now I'm gonna go and play Blitz for 3 hours.